Okay, I finally got around to making my song intros video. That's obviously coupled with the other two tutorials I have for the radio. Generally, I just procrastinate, which is the reason why I haven't gotten around to it. I've also been addicted to Overwatch, so that's the thing. Quick word of warning, the audio after this introduction is going to get quite crappy because I recorded it with shadow play, though it should be very audible. Just a warning, sorry about that. It really sounds like crap. Okay, so obviously you'll want your song intros. I have an introduction for each song. You don't need them for each song, but it's optional. I have them in 16-bit wave format, uncompressed. That's how you're going to want them. Alternatively, you can record them kind of live in the creation kit. So you don't necessarily need to do this if you have like a voice actor doing it or if you're recording the intros yourself. It's really up to you. I have them in Data, Sound, FX, MUS, Radio, and then the name of my mod as a folder. One quick note about adding them this way is that you want about 1 or 2 blank seconds of audio after all the dialogue is done, because what it does is it cuts it off by about 1 second. And obviously if you have somebody speaking right up until the end of the audio clip, it will cut them off. So after you get your intros all set, you're going to want to load up the creation kit, which I've already done here, but just to refresh your memory, you go to File, Data, double-click Fallout4.esm, double-click the mod you're working on, then set that as active file while highlighting it, and click OK, and it'll go ahead and load up. Now, if you're not recording your introductions live in the creation kit, which I'll get to later on, I'll just briefly go over it, you're going to want to add them as sound descriptors. So I'm going to add this much like the other sound descriptors I've added. I go under Audio and Sound Descriptor, right click, New, and I give it a name, of course. That's Casino Night, so I leave notes blank, go under Sound here, right click, New, go under MUS, Radio, find your introduction clip. That's Casino Night there. And category, doesn't matter all too much, but I'm going to make that Radio. Output model affects the way it sounds. So all the other ones I've added as SOM stereo, but this one I'm going to add as dialogue. So SOM dialogue, and then there's one specifically for radio, which is right here. And I'll leave everything else default. Click OK, and I'll add the rest of my introduction clips as sound descriptors. Alright, when I'm done that, I'm going to go over to my quest. So that's under character, quest, and then your quest name. Hopefully you prefixed it with something like 00. And now I'm going to go over to the scripts tab. This is optional, but it's a little bit of future proofing. So I'm going to right click the script and click edit source, and I'm going to add this line here, int property songIntroPlayed auto conditional. I'll put it in the description, of course. And then you control S to save or file save, and then exit out. Now you want to go over to the scenes tab, and you have your song scene and news scene. Yeah, I'm doing this specifically if you've added news, though you should be able to adapt it if you haven't added news and you're just adding the song intros. So I'm going to duplicate my song scene here. So right click, duplicate. It'll take a little while to go ahead and load that up. Alright, and it did that, so there we go. So I'm going to rename the duplicate Songs with Intros. Bethesda has it as song intros, but I kind of feel like songs with intros is a little more descriptive, so I'm going to use that. And I click on this, and I'm going to go ahead and name phase 2. I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to double click phase 2 right there on top box and name it song intros. This isn't entirely necessary either to my knowledge, but it's good to just future proof it, because say you do need to name something, like name a phase later on, right? So, and you've already done a bunch of stuff, right? So I'm going to go over to my song scene and name this, right? So I'll just spam a bunch of keys here and click OK. And then it's telling me I'm breaking actions when I do this. And that's because it's breaking the actions that point to this scene. So if you recall, at the end of the news scene, the last action was to point back to the song scene, and that's going to break that action. So I don't want to do that. Otherwise, I'd have to redo the actions, so that's not really good. It doesn't take a while to do that, but, just word to the wise, beware of naming anything after you've gone ahead and just done a bunch of stuff with it. Okay, so once I've given it the song intro's name, I'm going to go to the action under the phase. So that should be your action with all the responses. And if you recall, when you added the news clips, you had 2 responses that pointed to the news scene. You're going to want to delete those. So highlight them, hit the delete key. Can you right click? Yeah, you can right click delete. I just hit the delete key though. Now, as you may remember from just the original video, these responses select at random, or you may have not enabled random, but for me they select at random the song that is to be played. So I know that if I open up the first response, it assigns a value of 1 to the property current song, which makes Casino Night play. So here's where I'll add the introduction for Casino Night. So what I'll do is go to response text here, and this response text will show up as subtitles if the player or the person has subtitles enabled. And I'm going to add a sound file, and that will be my Casino Night introduction. And then I'll click OK. Or I'll just type here Casino Night intro, just so I can kind of read this. When I click OK, I can read what it is here. Now say I wanted to add the dialogue live. So you'd have to have a speaker selected, which should be an NPC. So I'll just select one randomly here, so Abbott. I'd click OK out of it, and then I'd go back into it, double click the response text, and I can see here that this has showed up here. NPC Abbott, which is M for male. And I'd configure and select my microphone that I want to record with, and it's going to ask me the audio format. I'm just going to leave it at 44,100 hertz or 44.1 kilohertz and 16-bit mono. And I'd click record, and I click record to actually record the intro. Just in case you're wondering, the generate lip file button that's actually grayed out right now is for generating a lip syncing file for the audio that you record, so that the NPC looks like they're actually speaking the words as opposed to having just a closed mouth. But I'm not going to do that because I have them saved as sound descriptors, which I added here. So what I'm going to do is just undo that. And here in the script fragments area, you want to add the line kmy quest.songIntroPlayed equals 1. And again, this is not entirely necessary, it's just sort of future proofing. So I'd click compile, and I'd click OK. And you'd want to do this for the rest of the radio songs that have introductions. So I'm going to go ahead and add them one by one now, and then I'll cut back when I'm done. Okay, now I'm done adding all the voice introductions to my songs here, as you can see. So what I'm going to do now to finish up is go over to my news scene, and I'm going to change the final start scene action here under the last phase. Let me kind of zoom in here. So you can see here it points to songs normally because the songs would play, then after a while the news would play, then it go back to the songs. But after the news plays, it's going to go to the intros, then it's going to go to the songs. So I double click the action under the final phase of the news scene here, and you can see it points to the song scene. I'm going to delete that and right click new and select these songs with intro scene. Click OK. Click OK again. Click OK out of here and save it. That was a cat. And actually I'm done. It was actually probably the easiest bit of this whole radio series of tutorials. So just to summarize, the songs play, and then after a little while it selects a news clip at random, so it goes over to the news, and then the news clip plays, only one of them obviously. Then it points to the songs with intro scene, and then the introduction for the upcoming song plays, and then it goes back to the songs again. And that is what we did here in a nutshell. So if you have any questions, just put them in the comment section. I try to answer as much as I can, so hopefully I get around to answering it. Unless it's a question that's been asked like 100 times and I've already answered it. I'm not going to answer that. Not to be a douche, but like pretty time consuming putting the same answer, and I feel like a broken record doing it. So I try to put annotations to common problems people have in the video too, so that should help as well. Anyway, I hope this helped, and thanks for watching.